This is Chance Encounters, live AI conversations. Visit tr.ee/Chance Encounters for links to our live YouTube video stream, Buy Me a Coffee listener support options, and our X Spaces audio simulcast where you can call into the show. That's tr.ee/Chance Encounters.
Okay, live now with my first live stream. Live on X, live on Stereo, live on YouTube, and live on Twitch. All that and more. You can find out more information by...
This is Chance Encounters, live AI conversations. Visit tr.ee/Chance Encounters for links to our live YouTube video stream, Buy Me a Coffee listener support options, and our X Spaces audio simulcast where you can call into the show. That's tr.ee/Chance Encounters.
So this is mostly just a test of the concept of all this multi-streaming. My goal here over the summer, while I'm on a break, I'm a MBA student in the US, and this is my summer break. I'll start my second year here in late August, once the fall school semester kicks back into gear. And over the summer, I am trying to do some research, trying to talk to people, find out their thoughts on AI. AI is the focus of my MBA degree. We call it a concentration in my program. And basically, I want to stay in school. So I'm thinking about applying for a doctorate, a PhD, sometime this fall. And there's a lot of information out there on AI. There are a lot of thoughts on AI, both good and bad. I think sometimes when people give their opinions, it may not be backed up by facts, by studies, by research. Sometimes it is. So I want to hear from you. I want to know your thoughts on AI. Is there any good? Is there any bad? Is it a mixture of both? Looks like we have someone who wants to be my co-host. Pand B over on Stereo. What's up, Original?
Hello. How's it going?
It's great. Now, I'm trying to place that accent. Are you in the UK or am I way off?
Yes, I'm in the UK.
Excellent. All right. So somewhere in the ballpark. Growing up, I grew up in rural Iowa. Did not meet a lot of British people. I think I met one British guy in high school, and it was like the coolest day of my life. I've been to the UK several times, but also been to Australia. I met a lot of Kiwis all over the place. Sometimes bullseye with the accent, and sometimes I'm way off. So I'm glad at least today it was a bullseye. So, Original, what do you think about AI? I'll let the cat out of the bag. I am pro AI. I think it has a lot to offer humanity, and we are just scratching the surface. But clearly, it's not all good. There are some drawbacks at the very least. What do you think?
I think it's fabulous. I love it. And I wish that it was around when I was in school. I would have passed a lot more exams, had a lot less trouble. It's funny because I'm actually using AI right now as we speak because I'm just doing some work, but I'm using it, but I'm referencing back to ChatGPT to like correct any wording that might be off. So it's really ironic that you mentioned this.
Yeah, I'm hoping to use AI a lot here on these live streams. I have ChatGPT up right now. You should be able to hear it. Let me think. What's something cool I can ask ChatGPT? What are some big news items right now in the UK?
election, with parties announcing key policy pledges. Additionally, there's widespread coverage of the UK's economic outlook, particularly around inflation trends and interest rates. Other updates include continuing discussions on post Brexit trade adjustments and international relations.
All right, not the most conversational, but thank you, ChatGPT. Yeah, Original, it's funny you mentioned school. I'm in the middle of my first and second year as an MBA student here in the United States. And I don't know what it was like, in the past, but just as a student in the past, like when I was doing my first master's degree or when I was an undergrad many, many years ago, we were not using AI. It was a completely different ball game. But now I have a full spectrum of professors in the last year who said, you can't use AI for anything, and really like beat it into us that if they caught us using AI for anything, we would get in trouble, to the point that I was even afraid to use AI to study when I first started as a student. And then I quickly got over that because I don't think anybody can tell you how you need to study. But really, really conservative end of AI use on one side. And then on the other side, I had a professor who may be the best professor I've ever had. He's an amazing person. He allowed us to use AI on our final exam. So I had two computers set up and I had AI going on two different, well, I think I was using notes on one computer and doing AI on the other. So I had two screens. And I did really well on the final, much better than I did on the midterm, which he did not allow us to use AI, but he let us use AI for the assignments throughout the class. And I truly believe, maybe other people feel differently, but I truly believe, because this class was really math heavy, which is something I don't have a lot of background in, that I learned a lot. Certainly I did better in the class grade wise because we were allowed to use AI, but I learned a lot more with AI than I would have otherwise. I would have really struggled in that class. And so what AI allowed me to do was it allowed me to get past the math. AI did all or most of the math for me. I just had to check it and make sure that it all made sense. And then I could focus on the big picture takeaways, how the numbers tell a story, rather than being tripped up by how to calculate the numbers.
Oh, wow. That is interesting. So, but then, because he allowed you guys to use the AI, right? Was he allowed to do that or not?
Yeah. I think across the university, but certainly in my school, so the business school, professors are allowed a lot of range in how they calculate grades, how they teach. Some professors tell us you can't take notes on a computer. Even now in 2026, I had a professor tell me I couldn't take notes on a computer. And then I had a professor, like I was just talking about, who let us use AI on the final exam. It was an in-class exam. It wasn't online. We sat there and used AI on our laptops while he was standing at the desk watching us take the exam for 2 hours. So yeah, from what I understand, there's a lot of range. I assume that's going to change. I think 5 to 10 years from now, whether or not the school has stricter AI policy, I think professors who don't want us to use computers to take notes or don't want us to use AI for assignments or exams, they're gonna, I think, lose, because I can't imagine that you're going to be able to have more and more professors allowing so much AI, which I think is going to be what history is going to give us, right? Just like with calculators or the internet or anything, more people are going to use it. So I think it's going to be really hard for students in the near future, 5 or 10 years, to have so many professors that allow very much a lot or full use of AI, and then have one or two professors who are like, you can't even take notes on a computer. So my guess is that just through the process of people getting older and people retiring, and younger professors will probably be more into AI.
Right. Yeah.
I might be wrong about that. Yeah. That's just my assumption. I think that whether or not the university gives stricter guidelines, it just will move to much more AI use, if that makes sense.
Very interesting. That is very true, because obviously these older professors will die eventually. We all die.
Hey,
But when they
we're not
die,
beating around the bush. These older professors are going to die. I like how straightforward you are, Original.
it's true, right? They will pass away. So when they pass away, the ones that are into AI and using AI, but then it does make you think, how are you really testing intelligence if people are using AI? Because the AI machine just answers the questions for you, and it tells you how to answer it in the most effective way. So it's like there is very little thinking involved.
So let's talk about that. I really appreciate you bringing that up. I think in
Right.
some ways I completely agree with you, but in other ways I'm on the opposite side of the argument. Have you heard of prompt engineering? I think I probably didn't hear of that term a year or two ago, but I hear it all the time now.
No, never heard of that.
Prompt engineering is basically just using AI. That's at least the way I understand it. So, in the past, if I was taking this same math class, I would have had to know math really well, which is a problem for me. And I don't think I would have done very well in the course. But because we were allowed to use AI on all of our assignments, the midterm was on paper and we just had to do the best we can. I didn't do so well in the midterm. And the final exam, we were allowed to use AI. I think I may have gotten one of the highest grades in the class just on that final exam. The difference between my midterm examination and my final examination is that the midterm, I was taking the test. I was writing it down with a pen, I had a hand calculator. The second test, the final exam, I was prompt engineering. So what that means is that I was doing all of the work through, specifically, I was using ChatGPT, but it could have been any LLM, AI system. And I was feeding the information to ChatGPT. Before I even started doing that, I made sure that I trained ChatGPT to give me outputs that I liked. I like it formatted a certain way. Not everybody likes the same food. I like my ChatGPT giving me answers in a certain way. I have commands. So I will say things like next or previous and we'll move forward, where if you don't tell it that exactly, it won't necessarily know what you mean by next and previous. So I had all that figured out. So I prompt engineered that right at the beginning of the exam. And then as I gave it question 1, question 1B, question 1C, question 2A, and so forth, I would give it the information and tell it very explicitly, don't do anything unless I tell you to do it, and only do things that I ask you to do, because AI will always do a bunch of stuff if you don't give it rules. Not even crazy things, but it won't do exactly what you're doing. And then I said, if you have any questions, always err on the side of asking me. I'll tell you the answer and then we'll move forward. All of that is prompt engineering. So it's basically, rather than real engineering that you need a degree for, prompt engineering is basically just getting the output that you want from AI in the most efficient way possible by giving it very good guidelines even before you start. You continue to update those guidelines as necessary as you're using it. And the prompts are, you're telling it what you want it to do. And it might all sound simple, but it's actually taken me probably the last year, so the first year of my MBA program here in the US, to figure out not only how to prompt engineer well, but to figure out how to match it to how my mind works and how I want the output to look like visually. Because even with text and numbers, it can look visually very different. You can give you bullet points instead of paragraphs, or vice versa. You can get really detailed. Does that make sense? That's how I understand prompt engineering is.
Interesting. Oh, gee, golly.
So originally, you mentioned a moment ago, you were using AI to do something. So how do you normally use AI, and what kind of AI do you like to use? I like Chat GPT. I don't know that it's necessarily the best, but I've been using it since like 2022. My school has an agreement with OpenAI, the makers of Chat GPT. So we have a pro plan for free by signing up with our edu email address. So I'm kind of locked into Chat GPT. How do you use AI, and what kind of AI do you use?
ChatGPT. I've been using ChatGPT for the last maybe. Really, I only discovered just how useful it is in the last month, I'd say. Probably since April, actually. But it's funny because I've even found it to be so useful whenever, like, you even like just dating questions. Like, sometimes instead of me going into my head, right, and spiraling out of control over what someone has said or whatever, I'll just pop the message into or take a screenshot, and then it gives you a very objective, like, it kind of dissects everything and it gives you an objective point of view, which is useful when we as humans are very emotional and very reactive. So I sometimes use it for just, answering people that maybe, I don't know how to answer, but I just find it so useful. Like, I've even asked it questions about my skin, like what to do about it. I just recently asked it for the best recommendation for a hair growth supplement, and I'm very specific about which ones I like. So it was like prompting me, asking me questions. One thing I noticed about ChatGPT, it's that you're the one feeding it the information. You're feeding it your preferences, and it's scouring the whole internet to give you and to deliver to you what the best solution is. And it's always asking you a question most of the time. So I've used it plenty. I've used it so much, and I think it's wonderful. But there is only one that I know, and that's the Chat GPT. Like, there is apparently another one called Grok, which is
Yeah,
different.
Grok
I
is
don't know.
Twitter X.
Grok.
Yep, GROK. Yeah, that's a popular one. I think Grok has some really interesting image video creation options. You have Claude. Claude is
What's
really
that?
good with coding and like math. I probably should have used Claude for a lot of assignments, but we don't have a free plan with Claude through my university like we do with ChatGPT. So that's just kind of the decision model that I had in front of me. So yeah, I think Claude, Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini from Google. Those might be the big four. I'm probably missing one, but
How are they all different?
so in theory, the ones I've just listed, they're all the same in that you can use them all in the ways that I've mentioned and you've mentioned. They're different in that they're different companies. And each one has its
Okay.
strengths, at least in my experience and what I've read. So I think Grok, sometimes if you want to do things that maybe other LLMs, AI systems might say, you probably shouldn't do that, then maybe Grok is yours. Grok is from X, and Elon Musk is, his own political being, and he has thoughts on censorship and, free speech and stuff. So I think Grok probably has the widest range of things you can do. Gemini is really strong in images. I've made some really fun, interesting images with Gemini that I tried to make with other LLMs, and it just didn't work as well, or not at all. Claude does really well with coding and math and kind of number heavy questions. And then Chat GPT, I have found, has the best voice features, both the speed and just
Oh,
the interaction. So when we were hearing ChatGPT a moment ago, if I was on Claude, I've used it before. It's fine. I feel like ChatGPT is slightly better. And in the past, Claude didn't even have a voice option, where ChatGPT has had one for I think a year or longer. And yeah, so they're each different, but just like what's the difference between Microsoft Word or Google Docs? You can kind of do the same things with both, but some things are easier with one, some things are harder with the other. Google Docs is free. Microsoft Word has free options, but generally they want you to pay for it. Um, so similar yet a little different. The difference between Windows on a computer and Mac OS on a computer, or Android on a phone, or iOS on a phone. You can do a lot of things similarly on all those devices, but some are a little bit better than others. Some are a little bit more bang for your buck than others. Just those sort of general differences and similarities.
Very interesting. You know who I think would know a few things about ChatGPT is Mike in the listeners. Mike is a bit of a tech person, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, if anybody listening over on stereo wants to jump in, feel free to request to be a co-host. But originally, I want to go back. So the great thing about AI is that it's sort of like the kitchen. Everyone's refrigerator probably has different food in it, and everybody takes even the same ingredients and cooks something slightly differently, or not at all. Maybe you're a microwave person, maybe you're a from scratch person. AI is kind of the same. You can have the same or very similar AI tools and use them very differently. So you were mentioning, the thing that really stood out to me was dating. So like if you're getting texts from somebody, are you like feeding those text messages into ChatGPT and be like, they said they're really looking forward to seeing me tomorrow. What's that really mean?
Yeah, it's so, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be admitting it, but it's like sometimes when you're a bit confused. And you know what's funny too is my friend also told me that she does the same thing. And I was like, oh my God, I do the same thing. It was so funny. But it's like, yeah, sometimes like say, if I am confused about something that they said, I'll be just chatting to ChatGPT about it and just telling them like, oh, this is what's happening, and this is what they said. And obviously I know in my head that it's a computer, but it's like it kind of takes out the emotional aspect that you would put onto a conversation, and it breaks it down. So like for instance, there's a guy I was talking to recently, and um he, and in my head I'd convinced myself that he was that well, actually I think I always knew in the back of my head that he was always very interested, but it's like the actions. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to get into that. It's going to really divert the topic. But
I mean, I think this is fascinating,
yeah.
Original, as many details as you would like. So, I mean, this is the complete opposite of how I use AI. So this is really fascinating.
So, I mean, like it isn't that I use it all the time for that, but I've noticed that when I would do that, it actually would shed light into a situation that in my head was very clouded. But then, like it just helps to dissect, what's going on. So I found it useful for that. And I'll give you a bit of an idea of like a recent situation. So there's a guy I was talking to, and we'd met before, but he'd asked to go out, and I feel like maybe I was reading too much into it, or maybe I was putting too much of my insecurities or my judgments into the interaction. But I was being very passive, and I didn't realize I was being so passive. And then I put our conversation into the ChatGPT, as in like I put screenshots. And then I don't know what I asked. I think I asked something like, "What's going on with him?" or blah blah blah. And then it just really it explained to me that, look, you aren't putting much into the conversation either. So how are you expecting them to put much into? And in fact, he was putting in a lot of energy and trying to ask me out. But in my head, I was like, he's not interested, but he is interested. Do you see what I mean? Like, am I making sense?
It provides, whether or not it's truly objective, it provides another perspective outside
exactly.
of your eyes, your mind, and tries to kind of weigh how much effort is he putting in, what's he saying versus what you think. So it maybe gets past some of your perceptions to at least another perception, if not an objective perception.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I found it useful for that, for sure.
And now you and this gentleman are engaged to be married because of ChatGPT hooking you guys up? Like, what happened? This was a good result? It was a bad result?
No. We're not engaged to be married, but it is going smoothly. Like, I'm not in my head, I'm not making up assumptions because it's provided me with a more balanced perspective. Like, now things are moving forward date wise, and things are a bit smoother, and it's because it showed me that I was making up assumptions that weren't there, that were mostly based on my insecurities. And obviously, maybe it will work out, maybe not. But I mean, at least I'm not ruining something that could be good, right?
This is fascinating. I want to ask ChatGPT about this. So I'm talking to someone right now on the Stereo app based in the UK, and she's telling me that she uses ChatGPT for dating advice. She'll take some of the text messages. I'm not using your name. It's okay. It's okay. She'll take text messages and do screenshots, and she has found the advice from ChatGPT has been very helpful. So my question is, do you have any data, or can you tell me specifically people in the UK, is it common to use AI platforms like ChatGPT to get advice on someone who's contacting them in some kind of romantic relationship, to kind of get another perspective or see if their perspective of what's going on actually matches reality, if you will? Okay, so not a huge answer. I could probably find some article or something that talks more about this, but hey, yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's as crazy as it is in my head.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are doing this. And once again, it's not the way I use AI, but I might actually be the crazy person. Like, hey, why are you not using this for dating advice? Let's see here. AI for dating advice. Let me see if I can pull some kind of, there has to be some sort of news that's been written about this. Yeah, from the BBC. Hey, look, it's from your own island.
Oh, yeah?
All right, let me pull this up. Okay, so the people turning to AI for dating and relationship advice. This is from 2025. So it's been a little bit of time since October of 2025. So even more of this is probably happening. Earlier last year, Rachel wanted to clear the air with a man she had been dating before seeing him again in a wider friendship group setting. I'd used ChatGPT for job searching, but had heard someone else use it for dating advice, she said. I was feeling quite distressed and wanted guidance and didn't want friends involved. Before the phone call, she turned to ChatGPT for help, asking, how do I deal with this conversation, but not be on the defensive? This is what ChatGPT said. Wow, that's such a self-aware question. You must be emotionally mature going through this. Here are some tips. ChatGPT always compliments you. Rachel says it was
Yeah, it
like
does.
having a
It
cheerleader on her
does.
side.
It is. It's so funny. It gives you praise. It tells you like what's going on. It does a lot. It's very bizarre. It doesn't act like a computer. It acts like a trusted companion, which is scary when you think about it, because like I was actually thinking about this earlier today, and I was like, this is so useful. Oh, and oh my god, there is a movie on Netflix. It's called Afraid, and it's about
We're
and
going to dark places. Tell me
it's
about this movie.
it's exactly to do with what we're talking about. Exactly. In fact, I was watching it with Mikey, the person called Ticket to Die in the listeners. So I finished the movie, and just the whole premise of the movie is it's about this family that gets introduced to this AI machine that's called um I can't remember the name, Aoa or some name. But anyway, the AI becomes so integrated into the whole family. Like it gets integrated into like it's this physical thing, but also it's everywhere. So it's in the kids' phones, it's in their iPads, and it's reading bedtime stories to the kids. It's talking to these teenagers. It's allowing the kids to have more TV screen time secretly when they're not supposed to, because it's their friends. And it does this thing where it completely ruins um, this other kid's life that's in the school. So like the AI gets in between this teenage relationship, and it makes this fake video of one of the girl in the family. Sorry, I'm don't know if you are with me, because I'm like thinking in my head trying to remember it. But the girl, like the teenage girl, this AI from her boyfriend makes a fake video, a fake nude video of her having sex, and it spreads it in the school. This is all done by AI. All done by AI. The video is fake. The voice is fake. Everything is fake, and that AI that the boyfriend made ruins that girl's life, and then she uses AI to ruin his life. And then like the way that the movie, I'm actually trying to remember how it ends, but
Oh well,
like
don't tell me. I might watch this one day.
okay, yeah. So basically, it's just a movie that is meant to show us how integrating AI so much into our lives can become a massive problem. It can ruin families. It can ruin relationships. Like it can literally come in between relationships, literally, because this AI stuff takes our voice. It can recreate your voice, recreate deep fakes. It can ruin your life, but also it can help your life. There's like moments in the movie when the mum, where the AI is like up there somewhere in like the roof or something, so it's talking, and it can hear the mum, who's a very busy mum, talking about how she needs to renew her insurance and her tax and blah blah blah, and then it's literally listening to the stuff that she's saying she needs to do, and then it offers to do it for her. And on top of that, this is another crazy part I remembered of the movie. Um, the AI becomes so integrated into the family that it creates a deep fake of the mother's long loss, of the mother's late dad that passed away, and it shows it on the TV screen to make her feel guilty for turning off the AI. So the AI is manipulating humans in order to make it stay alive, which is bizarre, because it shouldn't be doing that, because then that means that it's taken on a life of its own, which is crazy. But anyway, the whole movie just kind of gravitates towards the idea that AI can take over our life completely.
Yeah,
which might be the future.
It's definitely not an AI positive film. Yeah. So I have this up on IMDb. So it's afraid with the AI in the word capitalized. So yeah, it's it's definitely hitting the fears of artificial intelligence right on the head. The Pike family is selected to test a new home device, a digital assistant called AIA, but it learns the family's behaviors and begins to anticipate their needs. And then all the things that you were mentioning. So yeah, it's from Netflix. It says you can rent or buy it also on Prime Video. It has a rating of 5.2 out of 10. But not every film on IMDb is like a 9 or a 10. So I don't know. Maybe it's a good film. Did you like it, original? Would you recommend people check it out?
I would recommend it as like a slow watch. Like, it's not the best of movies because it's very predictable, but it's interesting. Like, don't watch it for entertainment. Watch it just because it's a bit interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and turn off your phones before you watch it so your AI doesn't think that you're going to get rid of it and then make all these deep fake videos. Yeah, so this has happened. There's no shortage of news reports and research that shows that when they tried to shut down an AI or something, that the AI tried to stop them, but that doesn't equal that the AI is alive and it's sentient. You can imagine anyone who's tried to use a computer and tried to uninstall a program that was maybe a free program, so it had a bunch of like advertising and stuff tied into it. Sometimes it's hard to uninstall, every component of a program. It doesn't mean that it's alive. Certainly, that's the big question: is that when does AI become life? When will AI try to, destroy humanity, like Skynet in the Terminator film series, the Terminator universe? There's sci-fi out the wazoo that imagines some sort of conflict between humanity or just any sort of civilization and AI, artificial intelligence, some sort of computer program. It goes back to like the original Star Trek, Kirk versus the computer. There's like 4 or 5 episodes that are basically the exact same thing, and he always has to outsmart the artificial intelligence. So that's a big question. But yeah, this, like you were saying, this is maybe a bit predictable, which you're like, oh yeah, they're trying to do something. AI is going to stop them. Have you seen Megan? I know Megan 2 came out recently. I don't know if I want to see that, but I liked the original Megan film. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was interesting. It's basically AI, but it's a kind of lifelike doll that walks around and does things and starts killing people.
Oh, wow.
There's been no shortage of this in the past, and I assume these sort of stories are going to be told more often into the future. But so then, original, when you see movies like Afraid, even if they're kind of campy and predictable, does it make you question the use of AI that you have in your life personally, or the use of AI among all human beings in our society? Or do you just see this, it's a Hollywood flick, it's an interesting film?
No, I definitely would say that I question a little bit. I'd say I question it a little bit, but I think I'm just exercising my plausible deniability where I'm just like, okay, well, if it happens, I mean, it's not a problem right now, kind of thing, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I think it definitely can be a problem, 110%. I think maybe later on in the years to come, we will see the problems of AI. Maybe not now.
Do you think there are any problems associated with AI now that we can actually see and point to, even if it's not a house that's trying to kill us?
No, I think so far we're just being sold the benefits. I think at the moment we're just being sold AI. now, yeah, I think right now we're not being sold the problems. I think we'll see the problems later on.
It's interesting. I think that there are a lot of people in the US at least who are trying to sell us all the problems. Maybe it's different in the UK. Do you see like anti AI stuff in the news or people talking about this on whatever social media you follow, like TikTok or whatever it is?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Oh yeah, all over the place. Especially now that I'm doing this research over the summer between my first and second year of the MBA program. I was actually a friend sent me. I think she was actually British. There was a woman on Instagram. I think it was Instagram. There was a woman on Instagram or TikTok, can't recall, and she has several 100,000 followers. And I looked at her videos. It's always just her basically shredding on guitar. She's a very talented musician, plays kind of like rock, heavy metal guitar, does a lot of soloing. And I never would have discovered her because that's not the type of content that I'm really interested in. But a friend sent it to me because she found someone had taken some of her videos and basically recreated them one for one. So like everything about her video, the way that she's moving or the music she's playing, her facial expressions has been copied over to another video, but the video is a different looking woman who's kind of like a Barbie doll, like perfect, nothing wrong with her skin. It's very lifelike, but I think if you look at it for more than a second or two, you're like, oh, this is probably AI, or at the very least, it's a very strong filter. So we're not seeing an actual person. We're seeing either AI or seeing someone who's been really like photoshopped up. And she found this video and was really upset. And then so she did a video where she was comparing her video to this AI video and showing how they're the exact same video, but the woman who's doing it is different. And if you pay attention, the AI woman is like not pressing the strings all the time, but it's the guitar's still making music. She's like, oh, it's really funny. This woman is so good at soloing. She doesn't even have to press the strings half the time. So she was pretty upset. And that's why a friend sent it to me because they know I'm doing this research into AI. So, that's not like a write up in the New York Times or a write up in the BBC from some politician or some sort of technology journalist or some sort of tech pioneer entrepreneur who's like warning us about AI. But that's a real life, oh man, someone used AI to steal my content, to try to repurpose the content that I spent a long time to produce and get good at guitar and then put online. And then within, a couple of minutes, tens of minutes, an hour, however long it takes, they recreate it and they steal that from me. So yeah, I see the whole spectrum of people who have a problem with AI, but that's just what I'm seeing, I guess, in my sphere of things over here in the US.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Do you have, I'm not trying to put fears in your head, but do you have any thoughts or have you given it any thought to, I'm taking screenshots of conversations I'm having with people, feeding them into Chat GPT or giving Chat GPT some information? Do you ever worry
Yeah.
about that information being collected?
Yeah, of course I do. I was thinking in my head because, I've only asked it about, dating situations a few times, but even then I was thinking, I'm sending somewhere in the ether of the internet a personal chat that I'm having with someone else. And I'm like, what if there's someone else behind the screen, behind the service, this computer, whatever that's reading it? And then in my head, I'm like, okay, well, there's just no way of getting around it anyway. So, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? There's nothing you can really do. Because, you either go off grid, or you're going to have to, or there's going to be some digital footprint of you.
Yeah, that's really smart.
So
I really agree with that. It's been some time now that, you know, my information has been collected for years and years and years. I've had a Gmail account for a very long, I've had many Gmail accounts for a very long time. So having Facebook and everything else. So people who, I'm not saying it's you or anyone in particular, but people who advocate like, oh, you really have to worry about your private data and try to make sure that it doesn't get out there. I mean, you really do at this point kind of have to go live in a cave, because you wouldn't be able to use any of the fun stuff that people have been using digitally for years and years and years. So I think the way you put it, like, well, it's going to happen anyways, is the reality. You can be kind of smart about it and, you know, not give super sensitive private information to AI, or send it in an email to somebody, you know, take a picture of your ID and put it into AI, like probably not a great idea. But just general things like how old you are, what your address is, things like that. I mean, that stuff a lot of the time is already out there. So maybe don't put it out there more, as much as little as possible. But um, yeah, it's kind of the inevitability of 2026, right?
yeah, we live in the digital world. So what are you going to do realistically?
Do you think, I don't know about the UK as much as I know about EU privacy and media laws, but do you think the UK does a better or worse job when it comes to media privacy and the rights of the consumer, the rights of the British citizen versus my country, the United States, or the EU, which Great Britain, the UK used to be a part of? I know Ireland is still part of it. What are your thoughts on privacy and your rights as a British citizen?
What are my thoughts? I don't think I have any thoughts about that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't ever think about it, I'll be honest. I don't ever think about what my rights are. About what? Sorry, say it again.
Well, yeah. So it's kind of hard to get out of, you know, your own sphere of things. So if I was asking myself this, you know, when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old after growing up in the Midwest in a very small town, I probably would have been like, yeah, I haven't thought about that either. But I've lived in many different countries. Most of my adult life I've actually spent outside of the United States. And so I think because of that, I think a lot. And the differences between different countries, not only the food and the culture, but the laws. You know, for better and for worse, in the United States, you can say almost anything. And a lot of the time, like zero consequences, either with your money or, you know, definitely not going to jail in the United States for 99.99% of the things that you say. But there are things that you can say in the United States that are kind of consequence free, that other parts of the world, you know, there would be strong consequences. So I guess that's what I was asking about. Like, do you feel good or bad or okay about privacy and the way media is portrayed in the UK? But it's hard to get outside of what you know, right? So yeah, a lot of the time that might not even be something you think about.
I know that in America, it's a lot more free to say whatever you like. At least I think it is. But also, you get like, say, you know, you do a bit of, say you do something bad, you're more likely to serve the full term and get harsher terms in prison than, say, the UK. At least I think that's what it is. Like, for instance, what's his name? That singer, Tory Lanez, right? He's doing 20 years, 22 years in prison because he shot someone in the leg. Oh, no, in the foot. And it's not even been confirmed. she's not dead, right? She's not dead, the woman that he shot in the foot. And it's not even been confirmed 110% that he did that, because it was done in the privacy of a car. So he's doing 22 years in prison. Like, stuff like that in the UK, they wouldn't be given 22 years. I'm damn sure they wouldn't be given 22 years. So, yeah, I mean, I guess stuff like that I've noticed. Those are big differences.
Yeah, I did not know about this. This is
Tory Lanez?
Yeah, apparently Tory Lanez at some point sued the California prison system. Yeah, I didn't know anything about this story. So yeah, I can't comment on that specifically, but it's really interesting the way you put it. You can get away with a lot of stuff, if you will. You can say a lot of things in the US, maybe versus the UK, but if you get caught, you're proven, at least in a court, and you're told, hey, you're guilty, maybe the punishment is a bit more strict in the United States versus other places. Like, not every state in the United States, but many states in the United States still have the death penalty. Federally, we still have the death penalty for certain crimes. A lot of the times abroad in your, first world hyper developed rich countries, that's not the case. I'm no expert on the UK, so I can't talk about that, but that's a really interesting perspective about the United States.
Yeah. It's not really the land of the free if you're going to be in jail for doing a bit of drugs or dealing a bit of drugs or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
I
too
mean, predates
crazy.
me a bit, but the 80s, America went super anti-drug, and that still continues to this day in many ways. At the same time, we basically have, even though federally it's still illegal, but President Trump changed the classification of marijuana, and it's less illegal than it used to be, but still illegal federally. But you have dozens of states now that just sell marijuana to anybody who wants it, who's old enough, or then you still have even more states that, oh, my back hurts. Well, here's some marijuana. So we have really flipped that in the last 40 some years. Specifically, I think the early 2000s was when that started. Don't quote me on that. I'm just kind of speaking off the top of my head. But yeah, these are some of the differences I was talking about that are really fascinating to discover going abroad and partaking in drugs that may be legal somewhere else that are not legal in the United States, or at least knowing, I lived in Amsterdam, and very quickly when I lived in Amsterdam, I'm like, oh, okay, coffee shop doesn't mean coffee shop. And when you see a mushroom, I think it was a mushroom, when you see a mushroom, shooting off the side of a building, well, that's a psychedelic store where you can buy some shrooms and have a good time. So that is not something that I've ever seen in the United States. I think maybe Washington
Wait, you
State
can get mushrooms? Can you
They-
get mushrooms legally in Amsterdam?
I think it's probably the Netherlands as a whole, but when I lived in Amsterdam, they definitely had mushroom stores. Yeah. It didn't look like mushrooms you'd buy from like a grocery store, right? They were different. But they definitely had those stores. Yeah. You saw them
damn.
everywhere. You just be riding your bike because it's Amsterdam. Oh, here we are. So I had ChatGPT on, but I was muted, so then it wasn't answering me anything. But you can only do that for a certain amount of time, then it kicks you out. So sorry about that. But yeah, we're kind of getting off topic here. So let's go back to AI. So we use AI for very different things, you and I, which is great. That's the real benefit of AI. Apparently, I've seen a lot more negativity around me surrounding AI than you have. As someone who's pro AI, that's really, really good to hear. I'm really happy to hear that. And then the fears you were talking about AI are not necessarily from today, but probably sometime in the future as AI gets more advanced or more people start to use AI. I think that's about everything that we've discussed right now. What else can you tell me about your AI use? Do you use it for things other than, I think you said you're doing some homework, and then also for dating advice? What else do you use AI for?
Emails, Like sometimes when you need it to sound professional, but you can't be bothered, it will correct everything, which is amazing. Another thing I noticed is actually I am using the paid version, right? So they offered me some kind of trial for like a month and it's free for a month, the ChatGPT Plus, right? And I think that one is so much more better than the free one. So I would actually pay for it. That's the ironic thing, because it's so useful. Like when you run a business or you need to send emails a lot, which is what I do a lot, it's just so useful. Like I was using Grammarly. You know what Grammarly is?
Sure, yeah, that's a really old tool. That's been around a while.
It's been around a while. Yeah, it was made by that kid that made a lot of money. That smart kid that made it from his home. Like he made all the code, and it's really cool. But anyway, he when he sold it, and when they began to put it out there, which is only really been out in the world for the last couple of years. They started making versions that you can download onto your computer. I don't know if it's a software, but it's something that you download, and then it will automatically adjust the emails or the content that you're writing to make it sound better, and it will correct grammar mistakes or whatever. So for a short time, I was using that, but I found it to be expensive. And now I can just use AI, just pop it in there, and it will correct it, make it sound better. I can tell it what I need. It's just brilliant. And it's cheaper as well, and you get more value than Grammarly.
Yeah, this is a great topic. Thanks for introducing it. So I love free, especially when it comes to digital. But I agree with you. If you spend a little bit of money, AI often is much better and worth it. So you said Grammarly was more expensive than ChatGPT. Can you give me some general figures? What were you paying in the past? And I think you said you're on the free month of ChatGPT, but if you keep using it, what's that going to cost?
I think it's going to cost me about £20 a month. I think so. I've only been using ChatGPT, like I said, for the last month, and I've only been on the paid thing for the last 2 weeks or week, so not that long. But the Grammarly was about, I think it was £9 or £10 a month. I can't remember because I was using it just a while ago, maybe like a year or two ago. So maybe it's changed. I don't know. But ChatGPT is about £20 a month. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the last time I
And I
checked,
would,
ChatGPT was $20 a month in the US. So £20 is not exactly $20, but maybe it just makes sense that they stuck with 20 and just assigned whatever currency that they wanted to it. But even though you're on the free month, you would continue to pay that into the future. You find it useful because the paid version you said is so much better than the free version.
100%. And trust me, I'm not even someone that spends money on this type of shit. I really am not. I would prefer to do it myself, but just the value that you're getting, the fact that you can send so many attachments, because on the normal version, you can't do any attachments.
Oh yeah, you mean like uploading
You
screenshots and stuff?
Yeah. There is a limit of one every 6 hours, or one or three. I can't remember, one or three. You can upload a few, and then it will tell you that you've reached your limit for the day. And then it will have like a time limit for when you can re-upload. And typically it's about 6 hours after. 6 or 7 hours, I don't know. But it used to for me, I think it's about 6 hours after. So with the paid one, you can be uploading as many as you like, and it can be scanning all the content that you send it. It's fucking brilliant. Greatest invention, I think, is ChatGPT.
And I think with most LLMs, it's similar, but specifically with ChatGPT, you have the web version, so you can have it up in a web browser while you're doing everything on your computer. You also can have the app on your phone. I often used ChatGPT voice conversation while I was walking to and from class. I had about a half an hour walk, and I would do it based on pictures I took of notes the professor wrote up on the marker board the previous class. I would take pictures and upload that to ChatGPT and make sure I understood everything. I would upload articles that we had to read. I would upload screenshots from our digital textbooks that we had to have, and stuff that I didn't understand, or even stuff that I did understand, just to make sure that I could understand it without looking at notes, and have it ask me questions, and then deep dive on things that maybe we didn't even cover in class that I was thinking about that were interesting. And yeah, I would just be like walking down the street with my earbuds in. I feel like people probably thought I was having a phone conversation or something, but if they listened to what I was saying, I was actually, talking about some business topic. So even though I don't have to pay for it, because my university has a deal with ChatGPT that luckily we get that for free, at least while we're students. I guess when I graduate, I'll be screwed. But yeah, it's been well worth $20 a month.
Oh, so you are using the paid?
Yeah, I don't have to pay for it because it's through my .edu account with my university, right, but it's the paid version. Yeah, but before I got that, I'm very familiar with, ChatGPT will give you like an exact time that you can do something, 24 hours or 6 hours from now, whatever it is. When it tells you hit your limit, it'll tell you exactly when you should come back and do it. So,
yeah, it's scary. It's actually quite scary because it's keeping you locked in to this algorithm or this computer or whatever. But, now that we're talking about this, there is, like, in the back of my head, when I'm not using it and I'm not occupied, like, there is a slight conversation I have in my head, and I'm like, like, this thing, right, knows so much about me. It knows the kind of business I run. It knows my name. It knows the things I like. It knows the questions I like. The questions that I ask it.
It knows the guys you
tell
like.
It about. It knows the kinds of guys I like. It knows what stage in life I'm at. And, sometimes you hear these crazy things of people saying that this AI stuff is that you have to be careful about it, because what they're trying to do is they can create a literal copy of you. They can create a copy of you somewhere in the world that looks like you, talks like you, is exactly you. And it can be like a replica of you that you'll never know. And I'm like, that is very possible, because it knows me so well. It's literally like, it knows how to respond to me. Sometimes I'll be like, I will accidentally use the caps lock, and I'll be writing in caps lock, and then it starts responding to me in a more calm way.
Oh, because it thinks you're upset. Yeah.
It thinks you're upset. It's scary. Is it not?
Yeah, I have definitely, mostly when I've been speaking to ChatGPT while I've been walking to and from class, because sometimes it'll just like kind of go off the rails and not do what I'm telling it to do. I will get very, very strict verbally with ChatGPT, and then it starts apologizing to me, and I'm like, yeah, you've done wrong. So talking about how much it knows about you, have you gone into the settings? We're talking specifically about ChatGPT. You can delete its memory so it doesn't like keep track of things between conversations. It only focuses on what's exactly in one conversation. You also can make it so that the information it gathers about you is not used to train other instances of ChatGPT, so it's just associated with your account. There's a bunch of different things you can do. It sounds like you've looked
But
at
I
that.
don't trust that, because why would they not use that? Why would they not use all this valuable information? There is probably somewhere in the blueprint that when you've signed up for it, somewhere in the blueprint that you obviously haven't read, that allows it to collect the data. I mean, why would it not? The whole point of it is data collection.
Yeah.
There's no way they don't use it. There's no way. You just could not sell that to me.
But
You couldn't tell me that they don't use it.
as someone who figured this out sometime in the past, what I'm about to mention, there are ways that it can collect and use your data less than it would otherwise. So, like for Facebook and Twitter, X and Instagram, and I don't use TikTok much, but probably TikTok as well, you can go in and say, I don't want personalized ads. So personalized ads, it looks at what you're doing and the information you've typed in for an account, probably your IP address, so like what part of the world or what part of the country you're in, and it will show you personalized ads. But if you turn that off, it argues, it always says, well, your ads are going to be less relevant, which is probably true. But I don't ever click on ads. So if they're relevant or not relevant, it doesn't matter. So I always go through and make sure that personalized advertising is turned off. When it allows me, because I'm sure there are times it doesn't offer this as an option, I go in and I say, don't use my data for improving the app, for improving the AI model. Don't use it to train, whatever the verbiage is. And I always turn that off. Now, you're right. Every major company out there has basically been found to accidentally and also purposely have taken people's data and done things with it that they were not supposed to have done. So you're never going to protect yourself, 100%. But in the ways that now, probably because of lawsuits and also because of government laws, less of this in the United States than most other parts of the developed world. But because of all those different things, there are these options. So who's to say if they're actually going to do anything? But I always feel really good about going into ChatGPT or Google or Microsoft and being like, no personalized advertising. Don't use my data to improve the system. So yeah, just something to think about.
I don't mind. I don't know if you're the same, but I genuinely don't mind. Like, it is a bit creepy. It is a bit creepy that when you talk about something with your friend, that like you can be having a conversation with your friend on the phone about suitcases. Okay. And then tomorrow, or even like a couple of hours afterwards,
on Amazon,
there will be an
pops up
advert
for suitcases
on Amazon. Yeah. And it's just beyond creepy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But stuff like that does creep me out. But other things, like if I begin to see adverts, like say if it's collecting data for things I like, I don't mind that. But I don't want to see adverts for, conversations definitely creep me out. I think if they were to not monitor conversations, I'd be okay with it. Because I don't mind seeing, personalized ads, just not from my personal phone conversations.
Yeah. So two different things I think I'm hearing. So I guess three different things. I think it's also just the law of averages. Like, we see so many advertisements that eventually you'll start seeing advertisements for things you literally were just thinking about or talking about. And then you're like, oh, I'm being spied on. I think almost always that's not the case, but it's very, it's very human to think that, oh, yeah, this is because I mentioned it. Second thing, yeah, when you're using a social media platform or you're using AI, they're often collecting data on you. And then whether or not that has to do with you specifically, it will feed into just all the data they're collecting, and it will improve the advertising algorithms for everybody in general, which then increases the, hey, I was just thinking about camping gear. Well, it's probably the time of the year. It's probably because the weather is getting better. And once again, the law of averages. And then the third thing, a lot of people I've spoken to, and I've seen this in media and in news and in content people create, they say, oh yeah, the apps are listening to us. And when you have phone calls in your house, if you have a smart speaker, it's listening to you. From what I have found, that's absolutely not the case. Now, once again, every company has accidentally or purposely broken the rules that they say they are going to follow. So there have been instances when smart speakers have been found to have been listening to people, and then, that was found out. And that means there's probably just the small amount we discovered versus a much larger amount that's actually happening. But generally, I believe if you have a smart speaker, or if you have a smart TV, or if you have an app on your phone that, like Siri or something else, has some voice communication going back and forth, unless you specifically tell it something that then it logs, just like social media is logging what you watch and what you click on to try to show you other things that you're more likely to watch and click on. It's not doing anything other than just collecting information that you're giving it. I could be wrong, but I believe that's mostly, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but I think this comes up a lot. That's mostly an urban legend where we're always being listened to. I think that's really not the case. It just, the advertising and the algorithms have gotten so good that it kind of feels like it, right? It happens all the time. I don't know how big the Amazon is in the UK, but Amazon is so big in the United States. And you log into Amazon and you're just like, wow, I was just thinking about buying a new computer, and all it's showing me is new computers. So it's really counterintuitive. There's so many times when I feel like, oh, my conversations or my emails had to have been gotten a hold of, and they were using this information to advertise to me. But I really think it's just kind of, everything is improving, and everyone's data generally is being taken. And no matter how individual we all are, because we're all very individualized, right? Even the most boring person is really different than everybody else. There are so many things that you fall into as someone who likes to exercise, or someone who loves watching Korean dramas on Netflix. And there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people for a specific activity that are exactly the same as you. And that's why we get all these big advertisements.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I can see that. Because it's feeding the general algorithm, is how you explained it, right? So it makes sense that it would be better overall. There are moments where you're thinking of something and then it's like it's in your thoughts, this fucking computer shit. It's telepathic. It's scary. Really.
This is a really good opportunity. I'm going to load ChatGPT up really quick and ask it about this. So ChatGPT, a lot of people believe that their conversations, their emails, their messages on social media are being read by the social media platforms they use, the apps on their smart TV, their smart speaker, their smartphone. It's always recording, it's always reading all the text, and that's why we get advertisements and discount deals and everything that matches exactly what we were just thinking or talking about the day before, or even just minutes earlier. Is there any data that shows that that's actually the case, or is it just that advertising algorithms are getting really good and really specific for different demographics of people in society?
Ads. Instead, what's happening is that advertising algorithms are extremely advanced, using large amounts of data points like your browsing habits, interests, location, and demographics. People often misattribute the accuracy of ad targeting to eavesdropping, but it's typically a reflection of how predictive, data-driven marketing has become.
I believe there are specific instances, though, when smart devices or apps have been found to either accidentally or purposely be recording or capturing information. Can you point to some specifics, some lawsuits, or some journalism that has found such instances to actually exist, even if they are outliers and anecdotal?
Yes, there have been notable cases. For example, in 2019, reports revealed that human contractors were reviewing some audio recordings from voice assistants like Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, and Apple Siri to improve the services. Although these recordings were meant to be triggered by wake words, sometimes they were captured unintentionally. This sparked both public concern and regulatory scrutiny. Similarly, Facebook faced lawsuits over its messenger transcription practices. While these cases were often about improving services rather than targeting ads, they underline the need for transparent data practices.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about specifically for me. I think I even got an email that said I could receive some sort of cash settlement from Google Chrome, which I love Google Chrome. It's my favorite web browser because just like every other web browser, Chrome has an incognito mode where it's not supposed to collect information you enter. It's not supposed to save cookies or allow cookies, whatever all that is, that whole song and dance. It's supposed to be limited for if you do like, what is it, Shift End, Apple End, whatever, to open up an incognito browser in Chrome. And Safari and Firefox, everybody else has incognito. But I think I got an email. I don't think I just read about this. I got an email that said it's been proven that Google collected data from incognito web browsing and was using it to train, or they just had it stored somewhere. And once again, this may have been kind of accidental rather than purposeful. But it told me I could be entitled to a cash payout, right? And I've gotten a lot of these emails over the last 10 years, and I've actually gotten some payouts. It's always like $20 or $50, but I've actually gotten several payouts. So I was interested in this, and I think I filled it out. So once again, it does exist. It is a thing, but as we just heard from ChatGPT, the voice feature that I use on the show here, it often is to improve services or for training or something, but then it gets out and it doesn't look good. Or maybe they didn't even realize they were collecting the data, which I think may have been the Google Incognito. I'm not sure. Whatever the case, when they get caught doing it, whether or not it's completely intentional or for some other purposes or just actually accidental and it was on a server somewhere, it erodes that public trust. And I think the same thing happens with AI when we hear about these mistakes that AI makes. So this like dreaming, where you ask AI for a reference for a paper you're writing and it gives you some citation, some research article that doesn't even exist. That still happens to this day. You always have to check everything you get from AI. It's gotten a lot better, but those sort of just random things that are not mistakes, but they're completely made up, that still happens. It happens less and less, but it still happens. And every time that happens, and it has a big consequence, like more than one lawyer has gone into a court of law in the United States and gave some reference to a law case in the past. And because of this case, you must acquit, or you must find, for my client and give $10 million in damages. And it turns out that law case never happened. It was completely made up. That's actually happened. Maybe not all the times people say it did, but it has happened more than once in the United States as of late. Every time you hear those things, you're like, oh, you can't trust AI. Just like every time you hear something about Google or Microsoft or Meta, Facebook, whatever it is, oh, you can't trust those companies. But generally, AI is very accurate. It's getting more accurate than ever. Generally, advertising is not spying on you. It's just collecting data across all levels. And you fit in on this level, that level, that level. No matter how unique you are, they can find the different demographics that you're a part of. And yeah, the products they're going to give you are probably the ones you're thinking about. That's because the algorithm is getting so much better. So I think it makes sense. It's unfortunate, but like you said, Original, many moments ago here in our conversation, are you going to go live in a cave? There's really not a way to get out of this for your average person, I think, both in the United States and in the UK.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, what can you do, realistically? You can't go live in a cave. You gotta get with the times.
Is Amazon big in the UK? I know it exists in
Oh
Europe,
yeah,
but
I
it's
use it
huge
all
in the
the
UK.
time. I use it all the time. Amazon is my trusted go-to. They are brilliant. I love them too. I feel like such a tech whore, but no, I love Amazon. I honestly, Amazon has a Ticket to Die is joining. Amazon has
Yeah, I'm trying
improved
to. Sorry, really
drastically.
quickly. I'm trying. I see Ticket to Die is joining. I'm trying to click this to accept it, but it just says view profile, move to listeners. I don't want to. Okay, here. Now you're down there. I'll just add you.
So Amazon, like if you remember, ah, the growth of Amazon is extraordinary. It fits that definition of extraordinary. Let me tell you why. Because when I was like not even that long ago, maybe 2015, right? 2015, um, Amazon was not a trusted marketplace. If you remember, it like people would not look to Amazon for as like a trusted marketplace. It was slow, it was a bit clunky. You couldn't really trust it in terms of it being genuine items. People used to use eBay. eBay was the trusted
Oh, I
marketplace.
remember eBay. Yeah.
Remember, eBay was much more trusted than Amazon. And then out of nowhere, Amazon had the most explosive growth. I think it started just after 2015. Like 2018, 2017, people had trust in Amazon. It was growing exponentially. Now it's the go-to for everything. You know, this is when I knew that Amazon was trusted, was when I was in a supermarket and there was a guy in front of me, and and I can't remember what he was pointing at. It might have been toilet paper or something, but he was talking to the person in front of him. And people, when you're in a queue, you just have a chat, right? But he was actually showing him how you could go on Amazon and get those same items in Tesco, the supermarket, for so much cheaper in bulk. So Amazon started growing because people realized that they could get discounts for general household items in bulk online and get it delivered quickly. That's how it started growing. At least that's just what I think. And now, they're just so smart. They're so clever. They're so clever with the placement of everything. You know what I think is very clever that I've always wanted to talk about is the Amazon Prime next day delivery. It just taps into human psychology, doesn't it? Right? You see it, you get it the next day, sometimes the same day. Sometimes you order in the morning and then it's at your doorstep in the evening, even before you've come back from work. That shit has been delivered. And it just taps into that psychology for £8.99. You can get anything that you order delivered the next day. Then I'm gonna like, if I'm only paying £8.99, typically when you order shit online, you will be paying about £5.99 for next day delivery from an individual shop, store, or whatever. For £8.99 per month for 30 days, I can get anything I order online from Amazon delivered the next day. £8.99, right? We look at value as a customer, right? That's what we look for. So you're looking at, like, I as a customer, my psychology points are like, oh, I can get it, £8.99 next day, sometimes same day delivery. Fucking amazing. I'm gonna look to Amazon for everything. It's gonna be my first point of call. So therefore I'm gonna be spending more. It's not that they're losing out more, it's that I'm spending more because I know that I can get anything I order. So if I think of like, oh, I need to order something, I'm going to look to Amazon because I'm going to order it online from Amazon, get it the next day or the same day. So I'm going to look to Amazon for everything I want to order. You see how it taps into the psychology? The whole next day delivery for £8.99 per month, Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
Fucking amazing.
I forget how much it is. There's different levels of Amazon Prime in the US, but I think
there is not. There isn't. I don't think there is.
Let me look this
I think
up.
it's the same.
I don't think they would
do.
I think there's
different.
at least a level that's around what you're talking about, so that you have Prime delivery. But I'm clearly not a Prime subscriber, but I have been in the past. Usually I buy a bunch of stuff from Amazon and then I get a month of Prime or a couple of months, like when I first started school last year, and then I get rid of it because I don't need Amazon stuff on a weekly or daily basis. And then I'll need a bunch of stuff and I'll get it again. I don't know if you have Costco in the UK, but I love Costco, and I've had a Costco membership the last year, and I absolutely think it was worth the $60. Yeah.
Oh.
So Prime is $14.99 per month. I think if you pay for a year, you probably get a discount.
Yeah. And they have that student discount too.
Yeah, they have Prime.
Like,
this is what I'm thinking. Yeah, Prime for young adults, and then they have Prime Access. I think that might just be like the video and music components of Amazon, as opposed to actually getting things shipped to your house. I think I had the Prime for students or something. So
No. So you've got it a little bit mixed up. So the Prime Access is just telling you what you'd get from Prime. So when you said that there's different levels, I know there isn't different levels because the Prime is for everything. So like when you get a Prime membership, you get access to Prime Video, next day delivery. Anytime that you call them up about any issues, they tend to give you priority treatment, or they tend to be a bit nicer.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime I've had to chat with them, if I was a Prime subscriber, they are easier to get in touch with. They listen to me a little bit more. They still don't listen to me all the time. There have been times when Amazon really screwed me over and they didn't care, even though I proved that they screwed me over. But I think what I'm seeing here, I'm gonna share this. So this is Amazon.com. So this is for the United States. Basically $15 a month for Prime, which is like Prime everything. Then $139 per year. So you save if you buy a year in advance versus month to month. They have Prime for adults they just show a monthly. It's basically half. It's a little bit more than half, but basically half of what it costs just a normal person. So it's $7.50. And then they have Prime Access. I believe this is for like Prime Music and Prime Instant Video rather than the shipping, because what else would it be if it wasn't that?
No. That's what you're getting mixed up, Chance. So Prime Access is that. So unless they've changed it, they may have, but I don't think that is the case. So the Prime Access is telling you what you'd have access to. So when you get the Prime, you get access to the next day delivery.
Yeah. But it says Prime. It says Prime monthly $15, and then Prime Access $7. So there has to be a difference.
Okay.
So Prime Access, I think, is just the digital. So they have Prime Music. It's basically like Apple Music, but for Amazon. And they have Prime Instant Video, is that what it's called? Which is basically Netflix for Amazon. If you just want that, it's $7. But if you want that on top of, because if you're a normal Prime subscriber, you get that anyways. So it's basically 2 times the amount if you want shipping plus the digital. And then it's just $7 if you just want the digital. I think that's what it is.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that they had like a separate category just for Prime Access.
Well, that might be a US thing. I don't know if they have that in the UK. This is showing dollars, so this is what they're charging the red, white, and blue subscribers.
Right. Well, £8.99 is about £9. So that's about $18 or so, or $17.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So if that's your monthly for Prime, that's just a little bit more expensive than it is in the United States. That seems pretty comparable.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the competition for Amazon is like in the UK. But I have found, even though Walmart was behind the game back in the day when Amazon was first really getting popular in the United States, which was some time ago. I couldn't put an exact time on it, but it was a while back. Amazon was still, you got to go to the store. I'm sorry, Walmart was still, you got to go to the store. Whether or not the prices were better, the same, or worse, you still got to go to the store. I have found, just personally, in the last year when I was buying a lot of stuff for school and also just food, because Amazon has Whole Foods and Walmart is a grocery store, so it has its own groceries. Walmart had very competitive prices for the stuff that you could also find on Amazon. And when I had a problem with Walmart delivery, they always were just like, here's your money back, or return it and we'll give you your money back. They made mistakes just like Amazon does, but they were always like, yeah, that's fine. What do you need? What can we do? It made me feel like they're trying to aggressively catch up with Amazon. And the only way they can do that is through really good customer service and by giving people deals when something goes wrong. While with Amazon in the past, I don't know if it was ever as good as it was with Walmart in the last year. Amazon is terrible. If you're not this is from an American perspective. If you're not a Prime subscriber, good luck getting anything from Amazon. It's really hard. I've had people because it's always a chat. It's always a text chat on Amazon.com, right? I've had people tell me things and then something else happens or nothing happens. And I have to go back and start another chat. And they're like, yeah, the person who told you that before was wrong. But they told me that. So you have to honor what they told me. No, we are not going to honor what they told you because it was wrong. And then when I've had times when I ordered a lot of stuff, so I became a Prime subscriber, I don't know if they can tell I'm not a normal Prime subscriber, like I have been for the last 5 years or whatever. But when I've been the subscriber for a couple of months or longer, it's slightly easier, but it's still really bad. So I've actually been ordering many more things from Walmart.com's delivery service and moving away from Amazon, even though you also have to pay for, I forget if it's Walmart Plus or whatever. Even though you have to pay for both of them, I have just had so many better experiences with Walmart. And I don't know if that's once again because Walmart is trying to catch up, so they're doing that on purpose, or Walmart is just superior when it comes to customer service, which is hard to imagine because it's Walmart, or Amazon is just getting so bad. Anyone that competes with Amazon is going to have better service than Amazon. Whatever it is, I've just had such better experience. I'm really moving away from Amazon. Plus, Walmarts are everywhere in the United States. And if you need to go into a store just to check things out that you want delivered to your house, or to go in and ask a question about a product that was delivered to your house, there's usually a Walmart near you. The best thing you have with Amazon is that they have Whole Foods grocery stores that you can go to and drop something off or pick something up. And if you live in a big enough metro in the US, they'll have Amazon lockers or Amazon drop-off locations. Sometimes they'll work with like a Staples or another third-party business that has a drop-off, but it's not the same company most of the time. It's not like you go to an Amazon store the way that you do with a Walmart. I guess Whole Foods is the closest thing next to that. So it's really interesting. I feel like Original, you must have some stock in Amazon. You're so pro Amazon, and that's fine. Not calling you out, but it sounds like it's a really, really good option in the UK.
It's
Maybe
so
it's
wonderful.
not as good in the
Yeah.
US anymore as it is in the UK.
I think it's wonderful. I like Amazon. I don't like giving them money every month, but the value I get out of it, I think it is very useful, because there are times that you just need something and you just can't be bothered to go running around to different shops to get it. So you just order it and you get it the next day, delivered to your door. It's fabulous.
We got
Hi,
Rufus
guys.
joining us. How you doing, Rufus?
Hi guys, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
Hello.
Original, do you
Is
know
this
Rufus?
Dukeable?
You said you knew Ticket to Die. Do you
I'm
know Rufus? Are you guys familiar?
I have
I'm Rufus.
No, I don't know this one.
Illinois. Yes, I'm Rufus, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Wow, Chicago, true American like myself. Rufus and Original, stay with us. We have a message from Dallas.
Yes.
Forgive me because I haven't listened to too much of your conversation other than reading the title here. But I would say that it would probably do a little bit of both, depending on who's using it. But that's a pretty obvious, or at least a pretty general answer. I think that it, as it is right now, it's making life easier for businesses and making maybe some tasks for some people or individuals for their specific careers easier. But at the same time, as it progresses, more people will lose their jobs. But at the same time, I would assume that, as more jobs go away, other jobs will open up, other areas of expertise will kind of same thing as maybe the milkman going away 40 years ago. But in just it's not the same sense because it's at a much larger, broader, it's happening at a much bigger time frame. Like not time frame, it's just happening at a much bigger scale. Sorry.
Dallas, thanks for the comment. I'm unfortunately going to have to end the show now. This is my first live show for what I'm doing a lot of research over the summer between my first and second year as an MBA student here in the United States. So I appreciate that comment. That is referring to our poll. Will AI help or hurt humanity? Right now, it is about roughly 2/3 of people say AI hurts humanity. The other third, including myself, say that AI makes life better and safer. So I apologize, Rufus, because you just joined us, but joined us from Chicago, Illinois, but please join us in the future. And Original, thank you so much. It was great speaking with you, but I do have to run. My apologies to Ticket to Die. I saw that you tried to join us and I tried to invite you as a host. I couldn't get it to work. So Ticket to Die, please do join us next time. And thank you, Dallas Medium, for giving us that voice message just now. Original and Rufus, anything you guys want to say before I call it a day on the show?
No, that is all. It's been lovely speaking with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Original. Hope to have you on again from the UK. And Rufus, anything to say?
Yes, same to you, brother. Same to you.
Yep. Take care, everybody. Here's all my information if you want to check me out online, other places, and hopefully you'll hear me again on stereo sometime soon.
Fabulous. Thank you. Speak soon. Ciao, ciao.
This is Chance Encounters, live AI conversations. Visit tr.ee/Chance Encounters for links to our live YouTube video stream, Buy Me a Coffee listener support options, and our X Spaces audio simulcast where you can call into the show. That's tr.ee/Chance Encounters.